Jalen Nailor in check? Vikings wide receiver could be traded, but the story is more complex than it seems. The Minnesota Vikings are in the midst of a strategic rebuilding phase where each move on the roster carries more weight than simply cutting or hiring. And a new narrative began to gain traction. Charismatic wide receiver Jalen Nailor, popular with fans and promising on the field, would have his days numbered in Minneapolis. But is it really the end of the line for the 2024 UR3? Or is this just another storm in a teacup in a period when speculation dominates the headlines? Ty Felton's arrival changes the board. It all started with the selection of the speedy Ty Felton from the University of Maryland in the third round of the 2025 draft. An agile receiver with refined route running and potential to make an impact early, Felton arrives as a promising talent for the future, and by all indications, a direct competitor in the wide receiver hierarchy. It was enough for analysts like Pro Football Network's Sterling Dye to point to Jalen Nailor as a clear candidate to trade or cut during the final roster-building process in August. With Felton stepping in as a perimeter wideout, someone like Nailor, who is in the final season of his rookie contract and isn't a standout on special teams, could become expendable if he doesn't earn his spot in training camp, Z explained. The numbers and the contract don't help, nor do they hinder that much. Financially, trading or cutting Nailor would save approximately $1 million in salary cap space. Not significant for a franchise that already has significant cap space. Additionally, Nailor has no real impact on special teams, having played just 56 snaps in those lineups over 2 seasons. This reduces his value as a supporting player in a lean squad. However, he is still young, cheap, and familiar with Kevin O'Connell's system, which makes him a plausible stay, especially if Felton needs more time to adapt to the professional game. Contradictions within the team itself. Despite the cold logic of numbers and external analysis, the Vikings' internal discourse contradicts the exchange theory. Coach Kevin O'Connell himself went on record in April saying he expects a huge year from Nailor in 2025. Those aren't words you use with someone about to be traded or cut. That confidence is based on a solid season from the receiver, who finally stayed healthy in 2024. His stats, 28 receptions, 414 yards and 6 touchdowns, may not jump out at you, but they indicate productivity. He also shined when he was needed most, like in the first 3 games when he accumulated 106 yards and 3 TDs, even without Jordan Addison alongside him. Felton's real role, and what it says about Nailor. Contrary to speculation, Felton's arrival doesn't have to mean the end of Nailor at Vikings. The rookie pick is likely to be a preparation for the future, with an eye toward 2026 and beyond, especially if the team opts not to extend Nailor's contract. In other words, Felton could be the contingency plan, not the immediate replacement. Nailor, meanwhile, offers depth, experience in the system and chemistry with new starting QB J.J. McCarthy, a rare advantage for a player in a contract year. Conclusion: replacing Nailor would be hasty, but not impossible. The Vikings have choices to make. Nailor could indeed be a name discussed behind the scenes as a bargaining chip, especially if other WRs stand out in the preseason. But today, cutting or replacing it would not bring any relevant financial gain, nor would it solve any immediate problems. Instead, keeping him as WR4 or WR5, if Felton steals the spot, could be a valuable strategic decision, especially if injuries crop up during the season. For now, Nailor remains part of the plan. But the NFL is a fast, cutthroat, and often unpredictable business. And while Ty Felton's talent is starting to shine in training camp, Jalen Nailor will need to prove once again that he deserves his place among the best. Minnesota Vikings look to the future. Dylan Thieneman could be Harrison Smith's natural heir. At the heart of the Minnesota Vikings defense has been the soul of a warrior for more than a decade, Harrison Smith. The veteran safety is more than A player. He's a symbol of toughness, intelligence, and dedication. But like every great chapter, Smith's seems to be coming to an end, and Vikings is quietly beginning to turn the page. During the 2025 NFL Draft, there was widespread expectation among analysts and fans. Minnesota would finally select Smith's successor. With Cameron Bynum leaving for the Indianapolis Colts and Josh Metellus being used in multiple schemes, the timing seemed ideal to secure a new leader in the secondary. Names like Malachi Starks, Georgia, and Nick Emenwari, South Carolina, were widely tipped for the 24th overall pick. Top-tier safeties with more than enough talent to take the immediate spotlight. The scenario favored this choice. The draft unfolded perfectly for Minnesota to get the best safety available without sacrificing draft value. But the Vikings had another plan. One eye on protecting the present, the other on the future. The team surprised by selecting Ohio State offensive lineman Donovan Jackson, betting on protecting rookie J.J. He was a strategic and understandable choice, given the importance of protecting their franchise quarterback. But by completely ignoring the safety position throughout the draft, without even selecting a late talent, the message was clear. Smith's succession will not be rushed. Still, that doesn't mean the Vikings aren't thinking about the future. Quite the opposite. With the evaluation cycle already focused on the 2026 draft, two names from the Pro Football Focus (PFF) team, Max Chadwick and Dalton Wasserman, identified a possible heir to the number 22 jersey, Dylan Thieneman, who recently transferred from Purdue to Oregon. Thieneman, raw talent with leader DNA Dylan. Thieneman isn't just an up-and-coming name. He is, in the opinion of many experts, the best safety in college football in single-high schemes. That is, that lone defender at the back of the field responsible for reading the quarterback, covering wide areas, and reacting with instinct. 2023, Thieneman shined with Purdue, showing versatility, coverage ability, and aggressiveness against the ground game. He had 73 tackles and was a constant presence on the field, with an overall grade of 72.4 from PFF, even after a slight drop in performance in 2024, caused in part by his use closer to the line of scrimmage. Now in Oregon, under Dan Lanning, Thieneman is expected to reclaim his ideal role and impress NFL scouts again. If that happens, he could cement himself as a first-round pick in 2026, and perhaps answer the biggest unspoken question on the Vikings roster. Who will be the new owner of the secondary? Smith's long shadow and patience as a strategy Harrison. Smith is a presence that commands respect. If 2025 is his last season, he will leave a technical and emotional void. Immediate attempts at replacement could seem forced, or even unfair to whoever succeeded him. The Vikings seem to understand this. A careful and patient approach may be the wisest. Rather than betting big on a name in the draft out of necessity, Minnesota watches, analyzes, and builds slowly, giving Jay Ward, Theo Jackson, and potential veterans room to contribute while finding the ideal name to inherit the legacy. Thieneman could be that name. Conclusion: a transition worthy of the legend replacing. A player like Harrison Smith is not just a question of talent, but of character, game reading, and leadership. Dylan Thieneman still has a way to go, but his technical and mental profile appeals to experts and seems to align perfectly with what the Vikings value in an elite safety. With the college season about to begin, all eyes will be on Oregon, and the young star who, perhaps unbeknownst to him, already carries the expectations of one of the NFL's most passionate franchises on his shoulders. If the trajectory continues, the next big name in the Vikings secondary could already be forming on the field in Eugene, Oregon. And in 2026, succession could be less of a concern and more of a new chapter of hope for the purple and gold defense.